Okay, very recently, like just a few days ago, I made a discovery about the bottom line of manifesting. And I made the discovery uh, in the context of thinking about what it is for a group to manifest something. And it's probably self evident to you, but I will say this anyway, that the main issue for a group to manifest something is that they all have to be of one mind. And the, the reason I, realize this, of course, I trade with the group. There are three of us. And, if we can function as traders without manifesting anything, sort of. But if you're going to manifest that $2,000 trade on $100 contract, that's manifesting. You've got to manifest that because you got to be there at the right time. A lot of what manifesting is, by the way, is being someplace at a certain time. Like, I don't know if you've ever, like, if you like photography, if you've ever had the experience of wandering through a wildlife area and you see this gorgeous flower and it's just at the perfect height so you can take a picture of it and you say, wow, but you may not say, well, I really manifested this. And if you ever do that and then you say, well, I don't really have time to take this shot right now, but I come here every day, so I'll just take it tomorrow. And when you come tomorrow, the flower's gone. There's no more. See, it's about being, or the sun is wrong, or the light is wrong, or something else is wrong. With the picture, when you have a perfect picture, you got to snap it right there in that moment. That's what photography is. Some pictures don't look like that. Like Franny's father took a picture of a bottle cap that was crushed on the road, and he put it in an exhibition, a contest of photographers, and you would think like, well, that nobody's ever going to pick that up. That's always going to be there, but you can go back the next day and find that's gone too. So you get the idea. Anyway, so trading is it's a manifesting issue. So I was watching this TV program called Black Sails. It's a series, and it's very long. It it has a very clear and definite plot, but it's probably like 30 or 40 hours or some such amount of time to watch it. And one of the issues that comes up is that there are first two and then three people who have to be of one mind to get the result thereafter, which is basically the same result the American colonists were after when they revolted against Britain. Because that's the theme of the movie, is these pirates are rebelling against the British, who were enslaving them. When people got impressed into those ships back in the 1700s and the 1600s, they were basically just kidnapped and thrown into slavery. Some of them made a career of it and worked for the British for the rest of their lives. And also, when they took the king's shilling and went into the British army, they did the same thing. They were enslaved. the British never wanted them to leave the army. And they also didn't want to promote them. The British sold promotions to the sons of the wealthy, the aristocrats, got to be the officers. And a lot of them were just idiots. So, you know, this is a fascinating study, the study of freedom and the fight for it. And but what it has to do with manifesting is that concept of being of one mind. And most people are not of one mind with themselves. And this is the problem. And when I say most people, I mean you and probably everybody else. So what happens when you are able to manifest something is that, okay, here's the basic concept is you get what you want. That's manifesting. If you want it, you will get it. You just have to assume that. And, you know, I know you're sitting there right now saying, but I want all these things and I've never gotten them. You don't know what you want. Don't be an idiot. Or, well, I don't know if you can actually change that, so I probably shouldn't say that. You know, Freud said that, by the way. That was something that Freud said. He said, in the end, we always get what we want. And that was, you know, that was true. It's always been true. So, we are, the way we get what we get to want what we want is to say, I want, let's say I want to make money trading options. I could just say that. I'm not sure that's a very good phrasing, but I could say I want to make money trading options today. And because I have more time today to trade options, you know, it's the option market will be running later, you know, and I can trade. So I can still come out here and make a movie. And then I can say I want to be free and I want to make money trading options today and I want to express my love today. And I can say all these things and I can shape what I want. And if I get a signal, that is some indication that I actually do want that. I may not be of one mind still, but what happens when we say we want something is we want it more, not necessarily more consciously. We're setting something inside of ourselves, like an intention to get it. And at the same time, we're letting go of wanting it when we say that. And you can't you can't get something that you want if you're attached to it. So this is what I, by the way, had to learn in order to trade effectively. You know, like I don't have a secret indicator that tells me when the market's going to go up or down or something. You know, what I had to do was let go of wanting to make money and or let go of wanting to trade and still be willing to stick with the market and observe it, which I actually checked it right before I turned this camera on to make this movie. So that's how you manifest something. You just let go of wanting it, and you know you've let go of wanting it when you feel calmer, clearer, more relaxed. And you also set the intention to have it when you say, I want it. So this is the how of manifesting, and also the most effective way I ever found is using getting signals, because it's God moving my finger. And if you get God involved, this is what a lot of people say. They say I prayed on that, I pray on this or I pray on that, and they hope to get it. And the only problem with that is that their prayers are only going one way. God isn't saying anything back to them. They expect God's response to be getting the thing. And so up till that point, they're in this hell of God connection, where they don't know if they're connected to God, or if God hears their prayers, or if he or she or whatever it is willing to answer them. They just don't know. And also, you ever notice, like, if you go to church, if you don't go to church, you're probably not ever going to have noticed this, but if you go to a church, I don't go to church, and I never did, or rabbi or synagogue or any other place, so I never noticed it. But what people, and Jews are absolutely the furthest out into this, but Christians do a pretty fair job of it too. The minister in the Christian church is always telling you what God wants and how God feels, and he's totally anthropomorphizing God and turning God into something that God isn't. So then people decide they're atheists and they don't believe in God. Well, of course not. They think God is what the preacher was describing. That's their idea of God. It's got to be that, So they can't actually observe God. And I have been observing God for a very long time, since I was 15, really. And also, this finger signal, well, when I started doing that, I was flipping a little tiny piece of paper about the size of a quarter with God's name printed on one side. So when the name came up, I knew that that was God, saying yes. And when the name was still down, I knew God was saying no. Now, I was in a desperate situation, and I really listened to those answers, and I flipped that paper very judiciously. If I tell people, how people use pendulums sometimes to get answers about, their diet or something. They're just at a very low level of, like, trying to inquire about anything, really. There's this one guy who was testing the vibrations of religions. What what an idiot. They do a lot of useless stuff. Like they try to get useless answers from God. And the only time I ever flipped that paper was when I had to make a really important decision that I was going to follow through on. And I wanted God's input, which I usually took as a command. And what happened was my charges got dropped. And my charges were worth 24 years in Rayford Prison in Central Florida, if you can imagine that. So, and they were dropped. And now they're legalizing pot. It is inevitable. Really funny. They were going to put me in prison for 24 years for something that would have become legal 20 years after I got out. Unbelievable. Well, people are idiots. You just have to remember that and realize that you are, and you will go far in this business, my child.